As a business owner, you must learn to go within or you go without.
From this to this.
You are all successful. Equally, each and every one of you here right now carries the same accountable success in your business, unless you choose otherwise. I'm here today in the beautiful fishing village of Pentrith in St Ives. It's blowing a bit, it's beautiful. Why have I come here? Because this seems to be a draw, a magnet for people who lived in the big cities, who've exhausted themselves with constantly giving out. And they've come here to find the within part of themselves. Some stay forever, some just come for a couple of weeks. But what is go within? Why do we have to take ourselves to a different environment, different visual environment, different feeling environment in order to get that space, get that time of going within? And yeah, it's pretty full on. I'm next to like a dog walking beach, and some get on and some don't get on. Why is that? Why do dogs dislike each other so much? Or some anyway. So yeah, so going within. When we go within, we're looking for something to recharge us, looking for something to make us feel whole again, or to go to an environment that allows us to take ourselves out of anxiety perhaps, or to recharge our 10-gallon glass, our 10-gallon mindset. Here at Pentrith, what I've learned is that so many people, hundreds of people, have come here, permanently based themselves from the big cities of London and these places to put themselves in an environment, in a surrounding that can recharge them spiritually, emotionally, physically, mentally, recharge them and keep them healthy. You know, is going within really about meditating every day? Is it really about taking yourself as far away from your current environment as possible to make yourself feel whole, make yourself feel valued? I know it's different for everybody. But what I do know is, what I have learned over the years is going within is also about being in your surroundings, at a venue, in a home that makes you feel valued, wanted, makes you feel peaceful, allows you to be efficient in yourself, not as a person that's being pulled on by day-to-day demands. Let's look at the word business. Busyness. Let's take a look at that. So let's think about this. Let's think about the word business. Busyness. 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 Almost as if it has a kind of pointless. Busyness. Pointless. Well, actually, I think the word has exhausted itself. Almost if the word business has become, I don't know, out of fashion now for our modern mindset, when wellness is actually more important than busyness. I don't run a business because I wish to be busy. I run a business because I build a life. I have a lifestyle. What should we use instead of business? What's the correct term now to fit our modern mindset? Busyness, wellness. I run a wellness. Yeah. Instead of I run a business, I run a wellness. I work because I look after my wellness. So I run a wellness. I think that's more fitting. Because business is about wellness. It is about creating a lifestyle that fills your heart. People here on the beach today and surrounding this beautiful fishing village in Pontrith. They're here because they've decided to spend time with themselves, with their children. There's no computer here. There's no laptops on this front. Just people enjoying the center of who they are. And that's what we mean. Go within your center. The most successful people in life are people who are successful in life. So let's think about this. Let's think about business. Why? Why do we run a business? If it's to be successful, monetary-wise, then that is going to be a constant chase. If it's to be successful in a monetary sense, then you have to ask yourself, what is the purpose of the money build? Why are you constantly building money in your life? Is it to add value to other people's lives, add value to the economy of people's lives, or is it a synthetic worth? Are you building money in order to feel that you are worth something yourself? Then that's very short-lived. Are you running a business because you've decided that you want more time with your family? But then you realize that by running a business, it's actually taking time because you are copying and following the out-of-date process that people are using still to run a business, which is work hard. You have to work hard. No. You run a wellness, not a business. You run a wellness. Let's remember that. So let's think about this. You know, in our last video, we covered human being, human doing. Are we splitting hairs here between going within or go without? Human being and human doing are conscious actions that you do in order to be in a particular state. Going within or going without means that if you don't consciously develop yourself, if you don't consciously give yourself the space to go within, then what we are saying is, or what the universe is saying, what life says is that you then go without because you will not reach your potential. It's not possible to reach your potential if you are not allowing yourself conscious space, conscious time, and you deliver that through an effort of firstly understanding yourself, seeing yourself, and then understanding that everybody goes within in different ways. As I say, some people love to meditate, some people, love to read. So what do we got going on here? What is the issue when you don't go within, and why is it you go without? Well, here's the thing. You're up close and personal when you're running your own business. Personal with yourself, personal with your customers, your clients, your staff, which means that you're constantly being exposed to the, I'm going to say, harshness of being sure that you are fulfilling, looking after and preserving other people's quality of lives by your promise of a salary, your promise of a business profit to those that become reliant on you personally from you running a business. And that just doesn't have to be staff, stakeholders, people who rely on your services, people who purchase from you, and all these beautiful things. Let's think about this. Business owners feel they have to go deeper into the business, deeper into the functions of the business in order to get more out of themselves, when actually it's the other way around. You've got to remove yourself from the business in order to go within. You've got to remove yourself from the busyness, from the environment where you're constantly having to reactively think. And that's not a negative, by the way. It's a positive and to reactively think. So it's removing yourself and putting yourself into a guilt-free, away from the business environment that allows you to, again, recharge, reboost, re-energize your mind. And this can only be done by consciously putting yourself in an environment, into an environment that forces you to have to listen to yourself, to have to really appreciate the value of people around you, those who are with you. How do we do that? Do we purposely find a holiday resort or a venue that has no internet, that is, driven by the opportunity for people to actually just enjoy the surroundings, like here, Pontrhyth is seaside village. So you're forced to enjoy the surroundings. You can't just ignore the fact that, the sea is there, the beach is there. You are drawn to go there. You are drawn to put that towel down and put that chair down and actually just appreciate the noise of the ocean that's going within. You can't dismiss that. So now we're saying, okay, the importance is getting myself out my business to actually improve my business. That doesn't mean doing it in such a way where it becomes irresponsible. No, you're being responsible by being sure that your going within comes first. Wow, guys, what a treat. So I was about to leave this spot and keep venturing around Pontrhyth. I think I'm saying that right, And here's the thing, as I was leaving, then a mom, dad and daughter come down and on the bikes and things, and I got talking to Katie Brown.
All right.
Katie Brown.
Yeah, Katie Brown.
Happy days.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
No, that's
now,
all right.
It was really interesting we started the conversation, you bike down here on your gravel bike and things, and you're a local girl.
Yeah.
What was it you were studying again?
Paramedic science. Yeah.
And you after your studies, you said, Paul, I want to put that back into community and maybe work with the ambulance service here.
Stay down here, yeah.
And then we kind of went on to then, I asked you about stress, your idea of stress. How old did you say you were?
20.
So you're just 20.
Yeah.
And when I asked about stress, you said, well, Paul, you said, I don't really suffer with that, but a lot of my friends, or I know people that do, because...
It's common, yeah.
So tell me about stress. What does stress feel like, do you think, for your era, and why?
Heavy. I think it feels heavy for them. You can't get away from it. Like, if it's down here, it's money, it's something you'll always be, yeah.
Do you think that, because the theme for this week's show is go within or go without.
Yeah.
So basically, if you don't treat yourself kindly, if you're not good to yourself, if you're focusing on, the materialism and financial needs. When I say financial needs, people suffer with life envy.
Yeah, yeah.
And when you have life envy, it means you're always wanting what somebody else has.
Yeah.
Do you feel that is more prominent now, or do you think it's the social media that's creating
I think social media has a big impact, and I think that's got a lot of responsibility, because when you're on your phone and you're scrolling through social media, you're not doing anything, whereas you're seeing what everybody else is, their highlights, their best bits. You don't see when they're sat at home scrolling or doing their chores. You see when they're out busy and what they want you to see. So I think it's so easy to compare and be envious.
And I suppose that for me would fit in with the go without. When you're going within, you are, you're really kind of valuing your time.
Yeah.
When you're scrolling, there's no
It's
value.
wasted, yeah.
There you are, you get
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And why do you think that? Why do you think there's no value from, scrolling or surfing the web where everyone?
I don't think it's as genuine as, you have your Instagram and it's the highlights. It's not, you're doing the shopping, going to work. It's not real. It's not real life. It's not your day to day. It's best bits.
And do you think that your era, because you said you're 20, you're coming through, I mean, you have definitely a different look on life from what I have, or what I had at 20. So, what is the bigger picture for for your era coming through? And what I mean by that is, is it to own a home? Is it to travel? Is it to be loyal in one job for the rest of your life, or experience many jobs in many countries?
It's different for everyone, and I think this is where it's like, whatever you have, you'll want something else. Like if you want a stable job, you'll see somebody else who's out travelling and doing all of that that you can't do because you want one job. So whatever you want, you'll want something else because it's always like you want what you can't have. Yeah. But it's true, yeah.
And so I suppose I'm listening to your reply there, because it's quite a technical reply,
Yeah.
So what you're saying is there that you think that your era still have the desire to be in a career for life, or?
I think the money of a career for life, because you think career for life, you think good money, successful. Yeah.
Where is the growth in that though? Then you become a slave to somebody else's doing when you're in a career for somebody else.
If there's progression, it's good. But yeah, like mundane. Yeah, in a rut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me, I asked about stress. So what does that feel like for your friends then? Because, again, before we come on camera, I spoke about the fact that for me at the age of 20, the word stress was just not a word in a vocabulary.
I think now it's, you have to be successful at everything. Down here it's money. You can't afford homes down here. Like, you can't really rent. Everywhere's holiday homes. So stress comes a lot from like finance down here, I think. Wow. Especially young, because you haven't got the...
Wow, Katie, so what you're saying is then, and from what I'm getting here, is that the property market here has become a holiday home market.
Yeah, unaffordable.
So unaffordable for the people that live here.
If you're on a London wage doing well, it's probably okay and you're already on the property ladder. But the first step onto the property ladder, unachievable.
And it's so confusing in many ways for me because, when I talk about, going within or go without, what I'm saying is that people are leaving the big cities, or they are purchasing out of the big cities, like here in Pontrhyth, and in order to find some alignment in their lives, they come here. But then also we've got a footprint of property that's empty most of the year round. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And how is that sort of affecting, do you think, the emotional economy of this area? What I mean by that, I mean people seem to be getting frustrated because they're finding that they can't actually afford to live in their own home.
It's like resentment. Yeah. Because you're kind of outpriced of your own, where you've grown up. Yeah. Wow.
So where do you see yourself being 20 years from now?
I'd like to live down here. Yeah. Live down here with my family and that. Yeah. Stay down here.
You grew up here, yeah?
Yeah.
But then you put the word, I would like to stay here, which puts an element of doubt.
It's getting a mortgage, rent's gone up everywhere. If they can put it as an Airbnb, they will. Yeah, wow. Thousands of pounds a week.
Really?
Yeah.
So do you feel that that you'll not be a part of your own community where you feel you're at your best? So being here is where you're most confident.
Yeah.
But also you're not sure if you'll be able to stay within your community because of
it's where
costs.
Would I like to live where I'd want to live, or would it be where I'd have to live? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So we're moving forward then. Coming back to your friends and things.
Yeah.
How do they manage? What do they do in order to manage stress?
They don't live down here. Lots of them have moved away, Plymouth, cheaper places to live, get on the property ladder and then try and move down. But I think with stress, it's because it's so difficult to buy down here, they end up just moving away because that gets rid of their stress. They can afford a house up there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you think owning a home is I don't know, has more value than renting a home?
I wouldn't want to rent.
You wouldn't,
No,
eh?
no. My parents have taught me burning money. But if it's the only way you can have a house, then
But let's
I'd rather have a house than a.
You
yeah.
would?
I'd rather rent a house than not have one. Yeah.
I mean, back in your parents' days, because they're the same age as myself, from
Yeah.
conversation we had, it was much easier to get a mortgage
Yeah.
then than what it is now. So, is it necessary, do you think, to have a mortgage? You know, is
No,
what
if
it
you can
what-
afford the rent and that's fine, then But down here, rent goes up. It gets sold on to be an Airbnb or
Yeah.
onto property developers. It never. You haven't got the financial stability.
Yeah.
Down
It's
here.
pretty clear that that the stresses that you talk about here is money.
Money, yeah.
That's it's
Yeah.
pretty clear.
Yeah.
Even though it's a very rich resort,
Yeah.
isn't it? Because
Yeah.
when I've done the strolls here and you look around, you can see there's been a lot of money invested into
Yeah.
Pontypridd for sure, but yet as a local, for yourself, it may look rich, but it's not.
The money goes back in their pocket. Yeah, it doesn't stay down here. Yeah.
Wow. So in some way, it's quite a contradiction, because when we got people coming from away and purchasing property here in order to get relaxed, do that go within and
Yeah.
not in that rush city life, what it's doing though is actually taking away the opportunity for the people that do live here to actually be relaxed.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes it more stressful down here. Yeah.
It's so contradicting,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's like people are coming to enjoy the piece of what this is, but take away.
The piece of people who live here. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's it. Yeah.
Wow, Katie, that was such a profound unfoldment
Yeah.
of one I don't know, wave of investment becoming relaxed and happy, whilst it's taking away another wave
Yeah.
of investment
Yeah.
for people who live here who can no longer be
I
relaxed
think
and
there's
happy.
such a divide here of wealthy and poor. That's the.
Is there really? Is there nothing in between, do you
No.
think?
There's less and less middle ground.
Wow.
Yeah.
Katie, thank you. Thank you
No,
for taking the time.
it's
'cause
nice
here's-
to speak to you.
No, here's the thing is that, you understand, what you understand really well is the cause and effect of outside investment to the people that invested in before the outside investment come into their part of the
Yeah.
country and can no longer take the fruits from that investment because it creates stress.
Yeah.
And especially with, the younger generation like yourself coming through, who should be adding to the economy here, not just in a sense of from your experience as a person,
Yeah.
but emotionally should be adding to the economy.
Yeah.
But actually, it's being taken out of the economy because of the investment from outside.
Yeah. You're unable to. Yeah.
Wow, that's just something powerful, eh?
Yeah.
It's powerful. It's like, how do you accommodate that? How do you accommodate making room for investment in, but then that investment in is actually taking investment back out? And there's this invisible, as I say, separation.
Yeah. That is. It's a divide. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So let me ask you. So if you had full control of this part of the world, and you were able to invest in equally, so everybody kind of benefited, what would be your one change that you would make here?
One house per family or whatever, because there's so many people have 2 or 3 holiday homes, different locations throughout the county, and
Oh, really?
yeah, and then make the houses used all year rather than just for summer, just for winter, because there's so many people would benefit from the houses being available all year round. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Do you know what? So the realization here is sometimes, going within or needing to find that little spot in the world that helps you realign, whilst it mends you and it realigns you as an individual, we have to look at the cause and effect to the people that actually were there before us. Give that some thought. And thank you, Katie. It's been
No,
appreciated.
it's nice to
Happy
speak to you.
days.
Thank you.
Happy
yeah.
days. Thank you. So what are some of the benefits of going within? Compulsory reflection for one. And that stops you from, or should I say, takes you away from the overwhelm within your day within your week, within your month, within your year. Compulsory reflection from going within allows you to step back and see the ideas clearly. Takes you away from the layers of stress. And I use stress lightly because it's a heavy word, but actually I think it's pigeonholed, the word stress is, when there's a lot more layers to it. So when it takes you away from that overwhelm, that compulsory reflection from going within, it means then that your value of ideas, your quality of ideas, organically will drop in, and it becomes a lot easier to be yourself, a lot easier to be you within the business. And that's so important. So why do we have to consciously go within? And why would we go without if that's the case? I mean, who decided that? So do we necessarily go without if we don't go within? No. What you do go without is the opportunity to have greater lifestyle, greater success within your life. I'm not talking about business here. Remember, success comes in life, then to business. Greater success within your life. And that success, we're not talking about a monetary success. We're talking about time, value, family, free experiences. Life that costs nothing other than your awareness. And being aware, consciously aware, that's success, that's meaning, that's going within. Going without means when actually you stop seeing your surroundings. You live at the ocean but you no longer see it. You live in the country, you no longer see it. You no longer see the materialistic luxuries that you've put around you, that you've introduced into your life. You no longer see what Mother Nature has given us that surrounds us every day. That's going without. You can have all the money in the world. Does that mean that you have everything? No. It just means you have choices to have everything, but everything that you have through money becomes a short-lived opportunity. What I mean by that is you purchase, have it, enjoy it, then purchase, have, enjoy, purchase, have, enjoy, and it becomes almost an emotional disease that so many suffer with. Purchase is important, but when you become aware of you in your life and you become more efficient emotionally as a person, which comes from going within, you find that the values you have and the valuables, the ownership of what you have materialistically in life actually has more value. We can own less but actually have more, because what we own becomes more offering. We seem to think that we got to keep purchasing in order to grow, and actually no, you purchase less to grow. If you keep purchasing and purchasing and purchasing, it means that you are seeking a completion of something rather than enjoying the process of life, the awareness of life. That's going within. So we're not necessarily talking about going without meaning that you have nothing. Actually, going without could mean you got everything but have very little awareness of what's around you, what's important, of the place you live, what's around you, what's important, the beautiful scenery maybe. When you do take yourself off to another part of the country to remove yourself and step back from the emotionally hectic but enjoyable for many, absolutely, business that you run. And when you are there, being 100% conscious of why you're there and the fruits of what's there, whether it's a seaside village, whether it's anywhere in the world that offers that openness to experiencing other people's way of life. That's going with them, but appreciating that, appreciating the value of you being there. Not just there as a tourist, you're there adding energy to that surrounding that day. You're there giving people an experience from you being there. Just from passing in the street. There may be something about you they'll always remember. Remember that bald man with a camera? Walking around the village the other day? What was he up to? I'm sure they'll remember. I'm sure. Going within. Let's see what else we can think about. Going within. Well, guys, you know, I've been roaming around Portreath all day, bumped into so many different locals, and I mean, everybody has something different to say about the economy, the emotional and financial economy of this beautiful fishing village. And I've been thinking to myself, you know, what I'd love to finish the show off with, and get to interview. And then I bumped into this lovely man. I mean, you look like you come out in your Sunday best, as we would say in this country, but, and let me see if I get this right, Mihai Ursha, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, I bumped into Mihai at the local, I'm going to say pub, but you were in there for a different reason. I went in for a refreshment, but you were in there for a business meeting. And I'm really pleased we had this opportunity, because getting to talk about your story, which was, and I'm just going to get us started here. You moved here from Nottingham. You worked in a regular employment job in Nottingham. Your country of origin is?
Romania.
Romania, yes. Romania, I know. So Romania, Nottingham, and then St Ives. Here, Portreath. Now, just so we recap, because we had a chat off camera, you give up a regular job to move here. Now, originally you moved, let's see if was it because you just wanted to move, or are we looking at, you know, did you come here to find that alignment, well-being? What was your first purpose of move?
The first purpose was nature. Was kind of replacing the gray and the brick walls of Nottingham with more nature and green and peace.
So you were looking for something that energized you, that made you feel more emotionally efficient in life.
Yes.
Would you say that?
Yes,
Oh,
definitely.
wow. But then let's kind of piece this together. So you moved here. It's a complete restart. There could be, you know, you've got to re-establish yourself as an individual, because you've not come with a family, you've just come with you.
Yes.
Just with you. Wow. And from our chat off camera before we come on, so you left a regular job, you came here, and then you started a new business.
Indeed.
In an environment that you know nothing of. But all this was, so you invested in yourself in a sense of going within. Because this is the theme of what I'm talking about today, is that you've done it at the highest level that you could do, where it's like, okay, I'm coming here to Portreath. I don't know anybody. I finished up a regular employment and I've come here to open a business, which we'll talk about in a sec, and completely restart my life. Now, it doesn't come any more self-investing than that, do you think?
Indeed.
How are you finding that investment? How are you finding it emotionally?
Challenging, but I believe it would bring, and it will bring in the future, a lot of satisfaction.
Do you feel that if you didn't invest within the way you are now, that potentially you would lose out on the full potential of your life?
Yes.
And how much of that lack of going within do you think people do in life? Do you think that's common?
Definitely, yes.
Because what I'm looking for is what created that fracture for you to leave what was considered normality to come here and make this your normality. You know, something must have fractured where you realized I'm not doing anything within myself here. I'm not doing nothing, no inner growth, no self-growth. How did you get that recognition that that wasn't actually happening in your life?
It was, I had a trigger, an event that triggered a sort of domino effect.
Mm-hmm.
And it basically, I started rebuilding myself.
Well, tell me what that looks like when you say rebuild yourself. Are we talking by changing external to build internal, or do you start changing internal to change external?
I would say it was both, a little bit of both.
What, different times or simultaneously?
Almost simultaneously.
Really?
Almost, yes. Because I started changing my habits. Like if I would look backwards in the person I was in Nottingham,
Mm-hmm.
I used to smoke, I used to drink, my eating habits were a complete mess.
Oh, wow.
And now that kind of shifted. I quit smoking, drinking is for special occasions.
Yeah.
And eating, I am more aware and more thoughtful about my meals.
So do you think your inner wellness has grown and healed? Do you
Yes.
think, what we are seeing here is the measure of you, the measure of you going in and working on yourself has increased or improved the return on life. Would you say that that is happening?
Yes, definitely, yes.
Even though effectively you left a regular income to start a new business, your own business. Tell me about that business. What's the business called?
It's VRSA 360.
So that's virtual tours. That
Yes.
you design, film, and put together virtual tours, because this is big now, because people are living on Zoom, and effectively we can purchase a car from our home. We can purchase another home from our home. We don't even need to go and look at travel brochures anymore, because we can just go on and get virtual tours of holidays and everything. I think in one way, I think that kind of business is improving people's lives, but it's also taking away the tangibility of going somewhere. You know, it's quite a mixed I'm going to say, view on the virtual tours. But I think, do you think that it actually is bringing more into people's lives now?
Yes.
Greater choice. It's forcing the quality of people's businesses to another level, because you can no longer hide, you know, corners that haven't been cleaned.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly. This is, I think you've touched it really, really well, because it's about transparency. It's about where we are heading
yeah.
towards. Because I see it as a new step on the scale of business evolution.
And you mentioned the word transparency there, which again, I want to come back to the working on the in, you know, going in and ourselves. Did you find that you have to be really transparent in you're not kidding yourself anymore? You have to really see yourself and the value of what you felt you wanted out of life, in order not to go without. So let me just recap. So I'm going to come back in your business in a sec, but here's the thing. So would it be safe to say there that because you weren't investing in, you were losing out on life? Tell me what that measure was. What did it feel like for all our viewers there? What was that measure?
The measure was, I tended to make myself little.
Little?
Yes.
Yeah.
To be in a way accepted.
Wow, that's
I used
massive.
to diminish myself
Yeah.
in order to be accepted mainly.
Wow, so basically you were living everybody else's disappointment of themselves. So you were forcing a fit in.
Yes.
So so people were never getting the authentic part of you. They were getting perhaps the disappointed part. And please don't see this as a negative, because it takes a lot of stamina and discipline to live in other people's lives the way they need you to live. Remember that, live in other people's lives the way they need you to live. It takes a lot of endurance to keep hiding the biggest part and the most important part of yourself. How many years did that go for? How many years did you manage to stay in that inside out marathon emotionally?
Too long, far too long, I would say.
And so do you feel you come in here and say doing that restart, when do you feel you're adding into the economy of this fishing village? Do you feel you're adding into it or taking from it? Because there's a mix when it comes to the people that live here all their life. They're very mixed in who's investing and who's not investing by coming here. What do you feel you're doing?
I am starting to give back.
Okay. So you feel that you want to help build people's trust
Yes.
with, and I use the word outsiders, but not in a negative way, because it's just an easier way for people to understand that, coming in and adding value back in. So where do you see yourself 3, 4, 5 years? Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Now the reason why I ask that is because, and it's a big question, but again, you've come here to 100% invest within, go within. And you don't know what the out is yet, but you know it has to be a valued out, because you're completely working on the in part of yourself. So what do you want the out to look like 5 years from now?
I wouldn't use the completely transformed sentence, but it would be a transitional process in sort of a transformation of myself and of course the area as well.
Yeah. So do you see success as a monetary level or an emotional level?
Emotional, definitely.
When you were in your regular job, you become obviously reliant on your weekly or monthly income. Yes. And I always say a job is just over broke. That's what a job is effectively. You know, when you were there, that consistency but repetitiveness, did that not offer a life? Did that not offer growth? I mean, so many people live in careers and live that way. Do you feel that? I mean, I know we've created that transition, but at that time, did you feel it was offering you growth? Were you going through stages where, yeah, this is great, this is where I want to be?
It's like the usual pattern, I would say. Because for when you get into a new job, there's the first weeks or months which are challenging because you're learning, discovering.
Yeah.
But then you reach the critical threshold.
Tell me about that threshold. I'm interested in that, because that's obviously it's an emotional threshold.
Yes.
So what did that feel like? How old were you at that point?
33.
So you're just 33 and you realized you'd reached a threshold in your place in life.
Yes.
Wow.
When the world or when your workplace starts to get a glimpse of routine, I think it completely changes everything. When you get into the routine, it sort of transforms into madness, because you're doing basically the same thing, expecting somehow different results.
Yeah, because we're talking here about a currency of life, so life currency. So we're saying that for you, you didn't see any more life bonuses. You didn't actually get a pay rise in life by keeping yourself, remaining within what was the repetitiveness of what you were in, and that's why you then reinvested in yourself and come here and have taken that huge leap. Do you look back and think, or do you look at your life and think, did I actually take the right investment? Do you have those thoughts here? And the reason why I want to highlight that is, you've come here on your own, you have no family, you having to recreate family, recreate friends as such, and on top of that, having to make your own income. Wow, that's massive. Tell me about your business is about, of course, creating this wonderful experience for people when it's, whether it's purchasing a home, whatever it may be, because you're creating that virtual experience.
Yeah.
So obviously, you like people to have visual experiences. That's something that's going to say is one of your core values, is creating a good visual experience. So for you, I asked you where would you be 5 years from now, and you give me a very small answer, even though you have a very, your vision of life must be very broad in order to do what you do for a living with your business. So visually, where do you see yourself 5 years from now? What does your home look like? Are you married? I mean, why I ask this is because you've come and you've said, okay, I am 100% working in on me. And when I meet, when I talk to clients, and I often ask, what does that look like? And many people struggle to know what it is working on. They think that the doing is actually working on them, but it's not. So where do you visualize yourself 5 years from now? What does that look like from all the inner work that you're doing on yourself?
Home would be in a sort of green island, like surrounded by trees, basically surrounded by nature.
Yeah. So you're not putting any monetary expectation to this. When we're talking about, let's flip this. Financially, where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Millionaire? Multimillionaire? 5 figures?
Lots of zeros, definitely.
There was not any commitment to that, really. So let's ask again, where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Bear in mind, £1 million is a very small amount of money.
Yes.
So where do you see you?
Oh, I would say for now it's kind of a difficult question, but regarding the process or the stage we're in, basically in full financial revolution, I would say, basically.
Because here's the thing,
Yes.
and I wanted to think about this also. When we work in and ourselves, and while it's a beautiful place to be, because we also got to understand there's a marrying to that. What needs to live in harmony with that are our money values. Now, if we have true money values, we actually just expect. We just know it should be there. So as you invest in yourself, then you've got 2 choices, or 3 actually. But let's go there. You can do either your money values will be behind, because you say, yeah, I live a great quality life, but actually my money intake isn't complementing that. So we can put up this camouflage that sometimes we can assume we're working in ourselves, and you've done something that very few people do, which is uprooted, planted itself in a part of the country again that you're having to restart. But then when we talk about your money values, you kind of don't put that anywhere. You're putting it, well, Paul, I'll speak modestly about it. I'll dip my toe in and say, well, there'll be some zeros there. There should be plenty of zeros. But when you go within, when you go in and you work on yourself, you also have to understand that the importance of the materialistic value with that is important also. That doesn't mean that it's taken away what the work you're doing on yourself, but it also means to say, well, that has value. Working on myself has value. Does it mean that I have to put that value to a monetary number? We can say, not always, but use the decision you made. You decided to be a shop window and run a business. So it means everything about you is now being felt, seen by all your customers and clients, online, face-to-face, wherever it may be. So you've decided that the reason for your inner growth is to create the outer growth, and the outer growth is the business for you.
Yes.
So in order for your inner growth to be able to grow your outer growth, then of course what comes with business, the byproduct of business is money. Now, happiness creates business, the byproduct of that is money. So we're going to say, okay, your call to action is, or your homework from our conversation is, okay, I've invested in me now, I'm doing that. But what is the financial value worth? So if we had to say every day or every night before you went to bed, you were to write an invoice to yourself of what you were worth for that day's investment. And then you tuck that invoice by. At the end of the week, you count up those invoices. Then you ask yourself, okay, have I paid me those invoices yet? Have I put them in the right action for those invoices to actually come to true life, where that does land in my universal bank account? So right now, what invoice would you write for yourself at the end of the day for all the work you've done on yourself up to this given point in time? What's your invoice?
Very interesting and good question. So I would have to give the specific value?
Yeah,
Or-
absolutely. If I had to write an invoice for myself for the work I've done today, because I write invoices for myself, I'm going to say that the conversations we've had and the conversations I've had with other people, I'm going to write myself a £1.5 million invoice a day. Because what I believe is, from the conversation we've had, you're going to take that, you're going to grow substantially, and others are going to grow substantially from how you then redesign our conversation in order to help others. So I'm 1.5 million today. So what's your invoice for yourself? Now this is important, because if you can't write the invoice to the value of your worth, then in running a business, then you're running a business on poverty thinking. So what's your invoice? How old are you right now?
34.
34. So you've invested 34 years.
Yes.
Okay, so what's that invoice worth today?
$1 million.
Just $1 million. So here's the thing, when I was running to the ice cream van when I was about 9-year-old, before I went there, I heard on the radio that someone who, you know the Sun newspaper? The Sun newspaper, yeah. They did bingo. They started playing bingo years ago. I'm 54, so I remember this. And they made one of the first millionaires in this country. Now, if I'm 54, I'm going back, 40 odd years ago that a millionaire was made. So 40 odd years ago, the word million was already put out there. And you're saying to me, at 34 years of age, with the life investment you put in and the courageous investment you put in on yourself by being here, you're only worth £1 million invoice today?
That's the modest version.
That is
version would
that is
be
negative modesty, by the way. Let's understand that $1 million is not a lot of emotional currency.
Yes. I
So
agree.
if you had to write yourself an invoice a day, it's just $1 million. Or are you rethinking that now?
I'm definitely rethinking it.
And that's the part that's going to make this investment worthwhile. So here's the call to action is that if you decide to invest in yourself 100% the way you have, and you do that in life, then you have to be very clear on the invoice value of what that investment is worth on a daily basis. You may do it weekly. You may say, well, I'm going to write the end of my week, or I'm going to write my invoices daily, and at the end of the week, then I'm going to total that up. And only then will you really understand and appreciate the value of what you're doing. I admire your shift. I admire what you've done in life. And I see that you are completely committed to going in order to create a great going out. But to do that, let's think about your invoicing rate and what you're worth each day. Isn't this such a great thought?
Indeed it is.
So let's go back to your business, because it's a new business. It's a beautiful business. What's the website? How would we find you? Let's put it on there so we can look.
You could find me on Facebook, Instagram. The website I am building at the moment.
Okay, but we have an address. Do we have how do we find you on Facebook and Instagram? What's
VRSA 360.
VRSA
Yes.
360. So that's virtual tours. That's what they do there.
Yes.
Perfect, and we will make that happen. We're absolutely linking with this guy. He's such a beautiful person, and if you want to do business with someone, make sure it's with someone that really is prepared to work on themselves to create for a better service and a better experience for yourself when you purchase for them. And this is where we are. It's been an absolute pleasure. It really has. And I'm excited. I may be down this way, again. And if so, then I would be really interested to see the value of your self-invoicing and what that looks like. But thank you so much for your time, my friend.
Thank you very much.
It's been beautiful. Absolutely. It's been beautiful. So, that's what it's about. It's been such a great day or two walking around and speaking to some amazing people here, and I got a couple of interviews left to go on, so you have an amazing day, and I'll catch you later. So here's the thing I didn't account for when I started this week's filming, Go Within or Go Without, was actually how going within can create a go without for other people. So I'm realizing today there's two kinds of approaches to going within, or finding that place of value where you can create that, realignment, create that opportunity to get away from it. There is the go within, where you put yourself into a new environment, a new place, like going on holidays or spending time with family, maybe away from what would be your home, and these things that create that temporary footprint and infuse that value of you finding yourself, having that place of peace, removing yourself from stress, and being able to, as I say, step back and look at and become more aware of who you are. So there's that temporary kind of going within that should have a repeat process in your life. And then we have the go within that creates a go without for other people. And this is something I didn't realize until today's filming, that resorts as rich as this place in Pontarrif that get invested by outside investors from the big cities that wish to come here and are overwhelmed with how beautiful the place is, and then purchase themselves a holiday home or 2 or 3 holiday homes. That takes a chunk of the footprint of this part of the world, but then the homes are occasionally used and are empty then for the majority of time throughout the year. That then takes from the well-being of the people that live here, because they can no longer afford to live in their own communities. So those people who are investing in the go within of themselves are actually taking from the go within of others. Being aware of that, and again, it's something that's really come to surface, there are negative approaches to going within that have a cause and effect. And if you're positively going within yourself, only then can you actually remove the go without that doesn't have a go without effect on other people from your investment of your own go within. Quite technical, I know, but hugely important. Hugely important. So think about this. When you are putting value to the go within of you, to step out of the stress and look back or look on your life and have more value to it, be sure that you recognize the go without that you'll be actually implementing to the people from your go within choices. And I'm seeing that the only real value when you really go within should be adding value to other people's lives, not taking from it. Just a thought. Just a thought. Yeah. Rumor has it that Gordon Ramsay has purchased 3 huge holiday homes here in Pontrhyth, and yeah, there's a lot of unhappy people about the amount of footprint that those large financial investors are actually taking from this part of the world. So yeah. So if you like what you've viewed today, please subscribe to the channel, and like or comment. I always love hearing from you. Always get back to you. So yeah, go within or go without.